Just weeks ago, many Hoosiers were breathing a sigh of relief with what seemed like a slowing of the coronavirus's spread here in the tri-state. But that was short-lived. As you just heard, cases are climbing, especially in Vanderburgh County, where the daily case spikes are continuing. Joining me now is Dr. Brad Choi with Deaconess. Doctor, what is the most concerning thing about this recent change? I know we were seeing a dozen cases. Now it's about 25 a day. Doesn't seem like a lot when you put it that way, but how concerning is that change in the numbers?
Yeah, it's definitely an increase and probably not a complete representation of all the cases that are out there. You know, we're making a much bigger push to get more patients tested, but I'm definitely concerned that there are more cases out there that aren't being fully represented in those numbers as well. And not a complete surprise as we're opening things back up and people are interacting with each other more now. I think we are seeing a spread of the virus secondary to that.
And as you mentioned, we did expect to see some spike in the numbers as people started moving around the community a little bit more. But is there anything as a healthcare provider that maybe frustrates you when you go to the grocery store or have to run an errand? Are you seeing anything that really just frustrates you as you're on the front line of this every day?
Well, there's definitely things that we all can do on an individual basis to help ourselves, but then also help the greater good of the community and the broader group. And, you know, wearing your mask, staying distant from one another, the 6 feet apart, washing your hands. These are the things that we've really been saying from the beginning, and they're even more important now as we're interacting more with one another, yet seeing this rise. So I know it feels like an inconvenience to wear the mask and to do these things, but it is the best thing that you can do to not just protect your neighbors and your loved ones, but to protect yourself as well. So I would just really encourage people to do that when they cannot social distance or when they're getting out in public, to wear that mask and wash your hands. And using that common sense has never been more important.
That common sense comes to the fact that we've now seen daycares, bars, restaurants, multiple industries that have started to reopen now be impacted by exposure to COVID-19. This, as we just heard from many of the school districts in the tri-state about plans to reopen and get kids back to the classroom in August. As you look at the numbers right now, is there any indication of whether or not that's even going to be a possibility?
Well, I think it's hard to predict the future completely, but you know, obviously we in the public health departments will be keeping a really close eye on the numbers and making sure that all of these steps to reopen the community will be done safely. And I think our government has had a good plan for that, and know that we'll continue to watch those numbers closely. And I think making sure, again, you're taking all the right steps to protect yourself, your community, your organization, your place of business by implementing the right protocols with masks and social distancing, so that when we are opening up, we can continue to do it as safely as possible.
Dr. Choi with Deaconess, thank you so much for taking a few moments for speaking with us this evening.
Thank you. Be safe.